So the first update, our next cohort, Corsair Platoon, it begins in February, and now is a really good time to apply to it before the November deadline. That is November 30th. So there's a really nice window here to get the application done. And for anyone here who doesn't know, our application is in three parts. So first, there's a short questionnaire about you and your military background. Then you do three coding exercises, kind of to demonstrate where you are in your exploration of tech. And then finally, there's another form where you'll answer a couple short answer questions about your motivation to join the program and what you want to do after. And you'll share a video where you demonstrate how you solved one of the coding exercises. It does have a few steps, this application process, as I just said, but it is really straightforward like that. And Danny and the rest of the team, including me, we're here to help you through it. So if you do have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to ask either of us during the session. Second update is our free Intro to Coding live course starts on Monday. It's a really great opportunity if anyone here would describe yourself as more of a beginner to coding who'd like to start building your skills right away. So more specifically, it's a beginner-friendly evening course, 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. Central Time, and it's taught live by our instructor DJ. So folks will learn the basics of Python, solve hands-on coding exercises, and start building confidence in coding, which is really awesome. Again, really great if you're just getting started or if you're prepping to apply to a Code Platoon program. So we are closing registration for Intro to Coding Live tomorrow, but there is still time to sign up today if you're interested. I think Danny or I are going to put a link in the chat or just a second, or you can go to our free courses page on our website and sign up from there. That's it from me for now. So let's get to your questions. Danny, have you got anything?
Yeah, no, great content, Kayla. Great seeing some familiar names here. Leandro, I think we talked earlier today. Addison, the same. Nice to meet you, Charlie. I just have PC there. I'm assuming that means more, but great to connect with you, man. Yeah, we got some exciting things happening right now. There are a lot of upcoming cohorts for next year. We have our next nearest deadline, as Kayla mentioned, for Corsair. That's going to be at the end of November. And we're kicking off our Intro to Coding Live, which is a great way for any individual that has an interest in software engineering, an interest in this career path, but maybe doesn't have that like fundamental background of, I don't really know how to code right now. I've never coded before. In this class, we'll have a graduate of ours as an instructor. He's actually the president of our alumni association, great engineer, DJ, and he'll be able to take you through the basics of getting your GitHub set up, the basics of, kind of creating some different programs and working through some different challenges within software engineering. A lot of the foundational building blocks of software engineering. So traditionally, what those are is an if-else statement, a for loop, count, a while loop, nested loop. Those are all the things that really build out the dynamic, robust websites that you probably interact with every day. I mean, it's pretty amazing how far you can go with software engineering just with some of those basic building blocks. There's obviously a lot more and a lot more breadth within software engineering, but those basic building blocks are really great to master and just really opens up so many different doors for you. So with Intro to Coding Live, we're going to teach you those basics and really help you get on your software engineering journey. But
Awesome. Thank you, Danny.
yeah,
Does I see
absolutely.
some faces, which is awesome. Hello. Does anyone have any questions like right off the bat for us? All right.
Tremaine. All right, cool. Nice to meet you, Tremaine.
Sorry about that. I literally just spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out how to edit my name. So
Oh, no worries.
You're
No
all
worries
good.
at all.
Don't worry about it.
yeah,
I think if, if
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, Tremaine, did we speak earlier this week? Okay,
we
awesome.
did.
Yeah, awesome. Great to put a face to a name.
awesome. Danny, you mentioned that Intro to Coding Live and kind of by extension Code Platoon programs open a lot of doors for folks. I know we talk a lot about software engineering, but there are a lot of other things people can do with this. What are some of those other options out there?
Yeah, absolutely. One that I think is super important for organizations that are based within technology, like outside of your traditional software engineer, a product manager is an incredibly important role within any tech organization. What a product manager really does is work with end users and software engineers as a conduit based on what the feedback we're getting from our clients are. So let's say that maybe the software engineers created a program or some kind of web application that our end client is using, but maybe it's not satisfying all the needs of that client. If they were just to describe some of those things to a software engineer, sometimes there can be a little bit of technical kind of confusion or just not really understanding what those parameters are. And so a product manager is really somebody that, one, is very personable and can understand what the client's needs are, but then also translate that into actionable tasks for the software engineers to then build out. It's a really, really critical role within engineering teams. And I think that's a great facet of what we teach at Code Platoon that you can leverage maybe some of your previous skills on top of being a little bit hands-on, on top of being very communicative. It can really help you within organizations. And yeah, I think that's one that immediately comes to mind. If you're very creative and like software engineering, but maybe don't love just kind of being behind like the keyboard all day or just working through really deep code bases, UI UX engineer is a really cool path for individuals that like graphic design, that are creative, that like the look and feel of how websites are kind of designed and laid out. It's a really interesting kind of blend between some of those creative backgrounds and mentalities and software engineering skills, especially skills within React, which is a front end framework, which we teach in our full stack program. Another course that we have that we rolled out just this summer is AI, Cloud, and DevOps. It really helps you kind of understand how software is deployed to the cloud, how it is disseminated to end users, how it's maintained, and also some of the security features there. So AI is a big part of that world because there's so much automation that you can utilize. And yeah, if you kind of wonder how Amazon got so big, they actually make okay money from Amazon, the website, but they make a large amount of their profits from AWS, which is the leading cloud provider, and that's what we teach you is skills within AWS. So yeah, those are just a few, but I think any kind of technical skills in today's world will always help you in your career path and really allow you to work with a lot of different teams within organizations.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. And I think that really, oh, Leonardo,
Yeah.
sorry.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did spoke to Danny earlier. So my question is, how many programs do you guys have? So on the website, I only see 2 programs, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have two programs. Right now, we offer full stack software development in two kind of varieties. You can either take that full time, which is 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. Think of it like a job, 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. with an hour break there. Or you can take that in a evening and weekend part-time capacity. So if you have commitments, like maybe you're working or you're responsible for a family or other just things in life, we offer that at 20 hours a week. 3 days would be weekdays, and that's in the evening, so 5:30 p.m. Central Standard to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard. And then Saturday is like a double day. So to suffice those 20 hours, it's an 8-hour class period on Saturday. Works really well for individuals that are working that traditional like 9 to 5, or kind of in your case, how we talked about, Leandro, where you have some time with your current job. AI, Cloud, and DevOps, at the moment, we only offer part-time, but there is a chance that next year we do expand that to a full-time capacity. That's something that we're kind of ideating on right now.
Okay. So second question I have is, if I were to fill out the application now, you said there's 3 part on the application, right, Kayla?
Yeah, so the first one is like 10 minutes, just the form of like your name, your email address, where you're located, which program you're aiming to join. And then after that, you're asked to solve a few coding exercises. And then there's a few more questions and a video. So those are the parts. Yes.
Okay, then based on the experience you guys have, how long does it take for an application from 1 all the way to 3 to complete before you know you're in the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that can definitely be a case by case basis on individuals and what their prior background is. If you have limited software engineering skills, it might take you a few weeks to complete your application because we do ask you to kind of complete some software engineering
Uh,
exercises. And a
okay.
lot of individuals right now are kind of preparing for that by doing our Intro to Coding live class that's kicking off on Monday. So that's a
Oh,
great way for you to kind of like build your skills up so that you can complete your application. If you have some software engineering skills and feel confident in your ability to complete those exercises, realistically, it could take you as fast as one day. I mean, when
oh,
I
okay.
went through the coder bite challenges, it definitely took me a few hours, but I would say like probably like 4 hours in total to complete that. Granted, I do have a software engineering background. So it was a little bit of getting kind of ramped back up with Python. But yeah, I would say probably on average, prospects are usually taking anywhere from like 1 to 3 weeks to complete. There is also a video portion that we ask you to complete. Usually, what individuals are doing is just the front camera on their phone. They're just recording themselves and they're just describing how they solved one of the three problems from those exercises.
Oh,
And then we ask for a short essay, basically your kind of testimonial of why you want to join the program, what your career goals are, maybe a little bit about your background, like what branch did you serve in, what got you excited, how you found out about Code Platoon, and what skills are you hoping to gain from the program.
okay. All right. So the free courses that you guys are teaching, that will help us to our application process then, I guess.
The free course, the Intro to Coding
Yes.
live course, would absolutely help you throughout the
Okay.
application
Okay,
process.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. I think that's all I have until somebody else raised something else, then I'll follow up.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for your questions. Those were all really good ones. Once we get a lot as well. But yeah, I would just start by signing up for the free course. Try that. If you want to, you can start part one of the application, that quick, like 10-minute form after this. We don't ask you to complete it all in one sitting or anything. So if you just submit that form, kind of get in our database, and then we'll also be following up with some emails with some tips for completing part two as well.
Okay, all right, good
Yeah.
to I saw one of your YouTube video, the intro. So I guess you need access to get into that, or once we sign up, right?
For Intro to Coding, once you sign up, you'll have access to it.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, all right, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And there
Yeah,
is
no
also
problem.
Intro to Coding self-paced. So if you want to just even like this weekend try out some skills, start playing around with some code, that's a great way for you to start getting comfortable writing code, understanding syntax, being able to run code and, ultimately see your code come to life. I think almost every software engineer that I know shares the same commonality of the first piece of code they've ever written, which is like hello world. It's basically allowing the computer to print out a statement that says hello universe. And yeah, we kind of start with that and we start snowballing, adding in some more things like declaring integers, having different multiplicative operators or mathematical operators, like, if we want to multiply two numbers together, divide them, find the remainder of a number. All these things are really great building blocks and starts you kind of like walking a little bit before you start jogging. And then ideally, when you're in the course, you're running and it's all very much project based, which I think is a great way to learn because you're working alongside your colleagues, your instructors giving you direction, but you're all working on something that is open source, meaning that anybody could access and take a look at your code. And all those projects you could potentially put on your resume when you're talking with potential employers, point back to it and say, oh, I actually worked with React and JavaScript and built out some APIs on this project. Here's a link. Let's walk through. And then they can see your code and you could talk about how you contributed. So project-based learning, I think, is really important to allow our students to go out in the world and find employment quickly.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Leonardo.
Yeah.
Coding also, as far as getting started, one of the things I really like about coding as like a career option is coding isn't like a lot of other fields in the sense that like you can start learning coding with something like our free course, and minus like that you're going to have to build up a little bit more coding skills learning different ways of writing code. That is what being a coder is. It's not like you have to go to medical school for 8 years and then you start doing medicine and then you're like, oh, this isn't what I expected. I really think coding is awesome in the sense that you can start doing it for free just on your own, fiddling around, and you are coding. Like, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think like if you were to become, an HVAC technician or a plumber, you actually like need those materials in front of you to get better at it. Usually those programs you're kind of in an apprenticeship where you're following somebody else that has those skills and you're learning on the job. With coding, almost all the software is free and able for you to access whenever you want. So you can just kind of sharpen your skills at 9 a.m. when you wake up, or maybe, it's midnight and you're like, hey, I want to kind of like tinker around and get better at this. I want to kind of figure out how to work with arrays better. You can do it whenever you want. You don't actually need like those materials in front of you. You just need a computer and usually a decent internet connection, which I don't know how decent my internet connection is. I'm kind of like lagging a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of it. So it's very easy for individuals to learn wherever they are in the world, and there's so many different remote jobs that allow you to be wherever you want to be in the world.
So your classes are basically all online. There's no in person, right?
So yes and yes. They're all online, but we do offer in-person learning if you so choose. So we do have an
Okay.
office in Chicago, and I would say, I don't know, Kayla, maybe like less than 20%. It's usually not a large number that is in person in Chicago.
Oh,
And that would be just for our full stack, full-time course. For our evenings and weekends courses, that's purely online. But if you were to
okay.
do full-time and you were in Chicago and wanted to come and learn in person, you can absolutely do so.
But other than that, it can be online too.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Good to know.
I think it's a good time to introduce myself.
Hey.
So I'm Charlie. So I'm one of the people in Chicago actually, and I be going to the in person, and I think it's the
Awesome.
Corsair cohort that I'm trying to be a part of.
Heck
So,
yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
so I'm one of the people that Danny mentioned who take 1 to 3 weeks. Except I'm in school at the moment, and I've been trying to. So I've done two things, right? I've done the intro to coding course, and I'm about 93% of there, the self-paced. And then I've also
Awesome.
been learning through a book called Learn Python the Hard Way 3. And I've been
Yeah.
like keeping up with both through my GitHub. So that's where I submit the projects. I'm not saying I'm proficient in any kind of way. I'm actually like kind of inundated and a little bit intimidated by the 3 questions.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of taking my time with those, but the intent is to get those done ASAP. And
Awesome.
I'm a reservist too. So, well, I was prior enlisted and I just re-enlisted reservist back in April.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And I think, that's a great testimonial. Like my experience with software engineering, I was a finance major and I just needed to round out credit hours. And I decided to do programming with like zero understanding of what it was. Walked into the classroom. I had a really cool professor. He had one rule, which is no computers. So we literally learned everything by hand, going up on the whiteboard and like hand writing out code. And it was a really cool experience. But that like imposter syndrome is everybody has that. It's a skill set that not everybody just learns when they're a kid. It's not like you have been reinforced software engineering skills from preschool. It's also not something that people are really naturally good at. Like some people will pick up a guitar and just like it clicks. They can, you know, jam out and make music really easily. Some people pick up a baseball bat and you don't have to teach them anything. They just know how to swing well. Software engineering is not like that. Nobody picks up a computer and is like, oh, let me just knock this out. It is a skill set that you need to train and work at, and you'll get better and better. And you'll just be amazed at once you hit that next tier, that sense of accomplishment that you'll feel because you'll naturally, it's almost like a video game where your power levels getting better and better. That's something that a lot of engineers kind of equate it to of like, now I'm becoming more and more proficient in these different areas. So, you know, anybody that has done this has been exactly where you are, which is exciting because that's what the community that we have. We have a bunch of veterans that have been exactly in your shoes, exactly at your level of proficiency. And you just keep working at it, you get better at it. And I would say, for completing those exercise questions, Charlie, take them, as you can I think it's really helpful to write them down in like a notebook. That way you can just reference it, write down the prompt. And then if you break it down into like easier terms, then you can really start trying to figure out like, well, how would I want to write that if I was, trying to build out software? Like, I think the first question is basically trying to figure out the distance between two letters, right? So if it's an A and a B, as like, is it 3 spaces between those two letters? Well, if you were to kind of try to figure that out, layman's terms without writing it, well, what would you need? Well, we probably need to define what those letters are that we're looking for. So that could be an easy way of like, okay, let's try to declare our integers. You probably need to figure out count and understand like the distance between these two. So let's set count to a number. Well, if count hits a certain number, then that's a good thing. If it doesn't hit that number, then it's not a good thing. And so then we want to do an if else statement. So if the count that we're looking for is 3 spaces, well, if count equals 3, then print out correct. There's 3 spaces between. If it doesn't, else, then don't print that out. So breaking it down into simpler terms is a really great way to start working through these problems. But totally understand that when you look at it, if you don't have experience, it could be like, what the heck is all this stuff? But take it, little by little, and it'll start clicking. And then once you get it and it runs and it does what you want, it's like teaching a dog to do a trick. It's like the best feeling in the world. And you just like, and you want more and more.
No, Danny, I appreciate that. I was thinking in terms of bits and bytes actually for calculating the space, but the
Yeah.
way what you introduced was, I mean, it's like almost like index, right? Where you count the spaces in between two
Yeah. Yeah,
two
absolutely.
integers.
Yeah. And if you just take those and Stack Overflow, there's a lot of different problems that are similar. If you look at some similar problems, then you can start being like, oh, okay, that was how they approached this. Interesting. Maybe I should do something similar. And yeah, I think it's just I remember the sleepless nights trying to make my code work, and it was just like error, syntax, all these things. And I was just like, oh man. And then I finally got it, and I was just like, just fist pumping. It was like the best feeling in the world because you're like, all right, we did it.
Uh, how are you guys? Could I introduce myself and ask a question?
Absolutely, absolutely.
absolutely.
So, my name is Tremaine. I spoke with you, Danny. It is very nice to see you
Yeah.
as well. Put a face to the name, like you said. And how are you guys for the rest of the people in the class? And Kayla, it's good to meet you. My only question was for speed. You said that we had all the resources to basically study code on our own. And when we talked on the phone, you told me that there are 2 courses, we'll call it the partial course, the 20 hours a week versus the 40
Yeah.
hours a week. So, to my understanding, we have a class or a platoon, right, that we do this course with. So it's not really independent at your own pace. It's
No. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. When I mean resources, I mean more or less like the analogy of like if you were to, be a plumber, you really need like pipes in front of you to start working on that skill set.
Right.
You can just get better at it whenever you want, but it is class based. You're going to be working on projects with your classmates, and you're going to have an instructor that's going to be guiding you and being kind of like an advisor to you. So if you're running into trouble or trying to understand some of these concepts, they'll be able to jump in and give you help alongside teachers' aides that we have. But yes, you'll be in a classroom, and that's actually a really good point. Is just when you are in this program, communication is so beneficial. So introducing yourself to your classmates, getting to know each other. Slack is kind of our like meeting, like instant messaging source. So if you've never heard of Slack before, it's a really great platform that a lot of organizations use to communicate internally. So me and Kayla, we both work for Code Platoon. We have our Slack thread up. We have a Slack thread with some of the different managers here. We have a Slack thread that's the entire company. And you'll be put into a Slack thread that will be Intro to Coding Live. And then once you're actually in the group or in your cohort, you'll have a platoon kind of Slack thread. And there you can, message anybody and say, hey, I'm Tremaine. I'm kind of working through this. Or when you start working and breaking out with your classmates, you might have a sub group that's just us, and you guys call it whatever you guys want, the Fantastic Four, I don't know. And you guys can just like message each other and just kind of say like, hey, I'm working through this part of the problem. What are you working on? Okay, cool. Let's share screen. Do you want to do a quick huddle? That kind of thing. So it's very
Okay.
emblematic of what it'd be like almost if you were in a working environment, working with your coworkers on a project or some kind of like build.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason I asked that question is just a little bit of background for me. I'm a veteran. I did 10 years in the Army, and I'm used to things happening extremely fast, right? I've
Yeah.
the very sink or swim for those veterans, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
if we were to join the course, there's nothing that's happening sooner than the February 1st start for the class date, is there? Because of the holidays.
Exactly. Yeah. We the next start date to a class won't be until February 2nd. But that being said, with Intro to Coding Live, with our self-paced courses, with just so many different online resources, you don't need to wait until February 2nd to start learning. You can start learning tonight. You can start learning tomorrow. You can start learning as much as you want up until then. And I think that when you get yourself into that like habitual part of like, all right, every day I'm going to commit 1 hour to coding. You would be amazed at how well and confident you would feel even after a few weeks. It's almost like going into the gym for the first time. If you just set yourself that habitual, look, I might not go to the gym and kill myself every day and like really just sweat it out, but as long as I'm there, as long as I'm showing up, I'm going to get stronger. I actually remember oh gosh, what was his name? Terry Crews, big dude, super muscular. And they were asking him like how, because he's like a workout every day kind of person. And he was saying that like, the best advice that I have for anybody is whether you go to the gym or not, like actually walk into the gym and work out, make it part of your daily routine just to drive to the gym. And when you're there, if you're just like, I can't do it today, turn around, go back home. But if you make it that habitual, every day I'm going to be at the gym, you'll be amazed at how easy it is for you to then walk into the gym and do it. There's a million ways to create excuses to kind of keep yourself from continuing to grow. But if you make it a habit of, hey, maybe the class won't start until February 2nd, but every day I'm going to spend 30 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, working on this skill, you would be so surprised by 2026, just you starting out this class. You'd be like, oh wow, I can fly through this stuff. This all makes a lot of sense to me. You might even be the person that other classmates are coming to for help, and that's a really great feeling to be able to give back that way. But yeah, to answer your question, I know that was kind of a roundabout way. Our next cohort, Corsair, does not start until February 2nd. Luckily though, next year we are kind of pacing out our courses. It was just an interesting time this year where we had three deadlines all within the same month. And so it did kind of, parse out a little bit of when our courses are starting. But next year will be and probably a much more consistent groove where there'll be a cohort coming up every like 2 months or so.
I do have first of all, my apologies. My name is Leonardo Santos, and
No,
I'm a
you're
retired Navy after so many years. So anyways, the question I have is regarding to or any of you guys, either Tremaine or Charlie, do you guys have any background at all? Because I have zero background on programming or anything. So I'm just curious for the future student will be, do you guys have any background at all with programming?
My background is in air defense battle management, and I also did mechanical engineering. So coding is like completely new to me. So no,
Okay,
I
all
don't.
right, good. Yeah.
Leonardo, good to meet you. My
And
background is in graphic design, and when I was in the military, I was a Black Hawk mechanic, 15 Tango. So
okay,
nothing dealing with code at all. I've just been documenting my learning process through GitHub, and that's only over
okay,
the past couple months, so none at all.
all right. So we're all blue collar then.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good, thank you.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And you guys are in good company. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And we have helped just hundreds of individuals that are exactly like you that have, limited or no coding experience in the past. And a lot of our instructors are actually graduates of our program, and they've gone on to do amazing things, work for, Amazon, work for large consultancies, continue to kind of grow and be team leads and be promoted within their space. And it's one of those things where it's like you with the right assistant in the right environment, you can go so far without having any previous skills. And sometimes it can be really helpful too, because the world that we're in right now, there are so many different ways for you to learn and develop your learning. Engineers that maybe started in the 90s that haven't kept up to date with their skills, it can be more difficult now because the entire software engineering world is changing. So you might feel like, oh, there's so many people out there that are better than me. Think about it this way: you're learning with the most cutting edge tools available in the world right now. And those basics really don't change, but a lot of the languages and syntax and the tools can change. And so as long as you're getting used to learning and being fluid with that, I mean, you'll always be able to have opportunities within this industry. And this industry touches upon anything. I can't think of any company in the world right now that doesn't leverage technology. Like, I just really can't. Maybe a farmer, even farmers though, they use tech all the time. But yeah, it's a great career path, and we're definitely in the right place because we have a lot of experience taking individuals and putting them on a path for growth.
Could I ask one last question? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so my last question was for the payment of the course. I know that when we talked, you said that this was a nonprofit organization that definitely
Mhm.
is tailored like to the military and veterans, all that good stuff. So how would we pay for the course? Do we have to use our GI Bill? Have you heard of Pathway to Heroes, which is like a scholarship or grant from the military that allow us like as things like 10K to attend any course that gives us a skill trade? Have you guys been endorsed through Pathway to Heroes?
I have personally not heard of Pathway to Heroes, but what I can do is, if you're interested in that, put you in touch with our kind of admissions officer, Tish. She is very up to date with all the different options that people have. One thing, like the GI Bill is a common way that people use to fund their program. VR&E is a common way that people use to fund their program. But just so that we can be as inclusive as possible, we changed our scholarship program this year to be titled as a pay what you can scholarship. So literally just, if you have no way to fund this and you're like, I really want to learn, I'm a veteran, I'm part of the military community. Um, Tish will ask you a simple question. What can you reasonably pay? And if that number is zero, that's totally fine. We'll be able to cover you 100%. We have a lot of donors that support our mission, that support the military community, and they fund this so that you can come and learn here for free if that is the only option that you have. And yeah, we want to be able to allow as many people to learn as possible. And so yeah, I would not worry about funding. We'll be able to figure it out, help you out. And that's never been a factor that has limited an individual from joining Code Platoon.
That's impressive. The only reason I asked it is because, like you guys know, if we have multiple ways of funding things, that means that I can attend this course and then maybe like a year from now, still go to a welding school and use my GI Bill because I haven't touched it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what I was
absolutely.
asking. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, one thing I'll mention in regards to the scholarships is you will need to be accepted to Code Platoon before like your scholarship comes through. It's not quite like applying to college. If any of you have ever done that, where sometimes you apply to the scholarships before you decide whether you're going to the college, you do need to be accepted first, and then you will be granted the scholarship. That's just something that people get a little confused about. So wanted to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really, what that means is just complete your application, be conditionally accepted, and then you'd be eligible for the scholarship. It would just be difficult for us to give out scholarships without knowing if somebody's actually going to be joining the course. Because some people might do their application and then they're like, hey, I'm actually going to do this instead or something along those lines. So as long as you complete your application, you'll be scholarship eligible.
Absolutely. And yeah, just like Tremaine said, we are a nonprofit organization. We're not, we want as many people who want to attend our course to be able to attend our course for as little or no out-of-pocket cost as possible. Awesome. Anything else? We've talked about a lot of things today.
Well, I do have another question though. So
What's up?
regarding a full-time student, right? If for some reason I would to miss like 2 days in a row, because sometimes I do travel for work, then there's also a video. I think Danny, you mentioned that, right? There'll be all the classes are pretty much online anyway, so it'll be recorded, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we record and we have a repository where students can go and look. So, if you're feeling sick and you're like, hey, I really can't make class this day,
Yeah.
communication is key. Just let your instructor know. And
Okay.
then just make sure when you're feeling better, you kind of catch up with the material, you communicate with your classmates if you're in the middle of a project. But yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about everything being so kind of even if you're in a remote world, everything's through Zoom. This call right now is being recorded. So we'll probably have some individuals that couldn't make tonight's session that can rewatch this. So yeah, that's an option. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of you I've spoken with, but just as a reminder too, I just put a link to my Calendly in the chat. If anybody ever wants to chat, grab some time, just talk through things, feel free to save that link and put some time on my calendar. I'll give you a call and we can talk through any questions, any thoughts, anything that you might want more information around.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you all. Unless there's any more questions, I think we're at a good ending point and we can all go do our evenings.
All right, good. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah, this was fantastic. It was great seeing everybody and very much looking forward to seeing you guys again, more familiar faces. Next week, Monday, I'll be there for our office hours and I'll probably stick around for the entire course and just kind of, help DJ the instructor wherever I can. But hope you guys all have a great rest of your week and weekend and looking forward to chatting with you more in the future.